As Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, great to see you. Thanks for being here. I want to talk to you about the United Nations Relief and Workers Agency. The claims are fantastic and horrific at the same time, long-standing, of mismanagement, of collusion with Hamas and the terrorist organization and terrorists in Hamas, the using of American tax dollars to promote terrorism, anti-Semitism, violence, rampant corruption throughout the United Nations Relief and Workers Agency and ties to Hamas. The simple question for you as our representative in the administration and for all the taxpayers, not only in the 10th District of Pennsylvania, but all across the country who find it intolerable that their tax money goes to support terrorism and the wanton killing of the Jewish people and the state of Israel. What concrete steps is this administration, are you vowing to take regarding the United Nations Relief and Workers Agency?
Yeah, we're not working with them anymore. I mean,
are they going to continue to receive funding?
No,
really
I mean, we're done with that. We're not distributing any more aid through that organization, especially because of the links in Gaza that you've outlined that have now been well documented.
And what is the administration doing vis-a-vis other countries that would wish to continue to support them? What is the United States doing with our clout, with our leadership role in trying to make sure that UNRWA no longer exists, because it is a tool of Hamas?
Well, we've made very clear we're done cooperating with them on this work, and we're not going to be involved in it. Obviously, other countries have sovereign decisions they make. I take your point that you want us to use our pressure, but the truth of the matter is no country contributes as much to these efforts as we do. And as a result, I think that gives us tremendous leverage to potentially find and create alternatives for the distribution of aid. And that's what we're working on actively now. It's one of the impediments to getting aid into Gaza as we speak. We want to find alternatives that are reliable, that will actually reach the people, but will not wind up in the hands of Hamas, who then turns it around and sells it at exorbitant prices on the black market to enrich themselves after they feed themselves. So we share your sentiments on this completely.
Appreciate your answer and your dedication to that. Again, the American taxpayers are sick of paying for terrorism. Let's turn to the State Department bureaucratic loyalty and my concern. Over a long period of time, the State Department co-opted in the 30s by many communists. It's well documented. If you know the history, let's be blunt, some of these people are still continue to act like communists, sabotaging our institutions and selling out our country. I'm wondering, frankly, what can be done about that to align the State Department with the goals of not only this administration, but the goals of the American people to promote America and Americanism.
Yeah, well, I think the first starts with what I've said from the very beginning of this hearing, and that is that the goal of our foreign policy is to further our national interest. You have to define what the national interest is, and then you have to make sure that the policies that you're pursuing are in furtherance of the national interest, not the global interest, not the international order, but what's in the interest of the United States. Sometimes cooperating with the global order is in the national interest. Many times, increasingly, it is not. As you see, these international institutions oftentimes have become places where we give all the money and then they work against us. And it's used as a forum for anti-Americanism. The second point is, and that's part of the reorganization is, and this is an important point, and I hear this in some of the criticisms, I don't know if people fully understand, I've made this point already, the Department of State is not another branch of government. We work for the President of the United States. The people elected the President. The President sets the foreign policy. Our job is to advise and provide options, but ultimately our job is to execute on the foreign policy of the President. And we are trying to organize the State Department to be able to do that as efficiently and as effectively as possible without having to check 40 boxes in a memo where someone you've never heard of and I've never heard of but's happened to work at the State Department has a veto power over our ability to pursue a presidential directive. Now that will be true for this administration, and frankly it'll be true for the next administration, be it a Republican or a Democrat one. But that's the way our republic functions. In our republic, the executive branch is headed by the President, who's elected by the people through the Electoral College, and our job is to deliver on the President's agenda. That's what I'm proud to do, and that's what we're going to continue to do, and that's the kind of State Department we're building to deliver on.
Appreciate that. And finally, Mr. Secretary, the President's emergency plan for AIDS relief, it's been over 20 years since we launched this program, and we poured billions of dollars into it. And while it's definitely saved lives, and we certainly appreciate that and we laud that, what's the future And when do we transition full responsibility to the African nations to manage their own health programs as we struggle to manage our own and pay for our own in the United States of America?
First of all, 85% of recipients under PEPFAR are currently and still receiving their assistance. The second point you make is an important one, and that is the best foreign aid is foreign aid that ends, and it ends because you've either solved the problem or because you've given capacity to your local partners to solve the problem. And I do believe there needs to be a metric in PEPFAR and beyond that in all of our foreign aid to ensure that at some point it ends because the problem was solved or because the local partner now has the capacity to handle it on their own. We are a generous people, but we cannot be responsible for every problem on this planet. We can't afford it. And frankly, in this day and age, we have many priorities we need to balance if we're going to form the national interest.
Representative.